So this is a typical networking circle, right? Right? And I have to tell you, it usually is people who are taller than me. I don't know why. But I can't see in. They're not showing any attention to me. I can walk around it a little bit. But what if just one person put their back leg, so put one leg back, facing still forward, and then put your weight in your back leg. Okay? And you're still facing them? Yeah.
I would never stand like this.
This is a croissant. Do you guys see the croissant? All right, so now we're going to have you close up. We'll do it from here. So if you just put your right leg back a little bit. Yeah, and just hang out on your way. Yeah, and you can face them. This is a croissant.
That's a croissant.
See? It's a little open. You don't need to...
Oh, no.
No.
I think it's a tea can. I think she said tea can.
So this is a sort of an opening. And so now, because there's an opening, if I wanted to talk to someone, now I can kind of join the circle a little bit, okay? And it's really about foot stance. So I'm going to go through how to exactly do this, but we're going to first applaud these folks back to their chair. The question always comes up, how do you approach people? If there are two people who are in a really intense conversation, they could be, passionately getting engaged or fighting or making dinner plans. You don't want to interrupt that. If there's someone by themselves off to the side and you don't know anybody and you think, there's somebody, I'll go talk to them. At the end of that conversation, what's going to happen? You don't know, because neither one of you knows anybody to make the introduction happen. If you could find a friendly group of people, 3 or more people, standing in a way that is inviting and allows you to kind of come in, that might be your best bet. But that is tricky, right? Because a lot of times they're not just like those tight bagels, but they're like bagels with locks.
Great. We talked about that.
Yeah. So what I'm going to suggest is actually that it's about body language and foot stance. And so for some of you, often women, you stand with your feet crossed, right? And so I tell you, I've been doing this 6 years, I have a hard time staying like this. But if you stand like this, and then you add this, then you're really like telling people like, don't come here. But this is a maneuver. It would take you like several maneuvers to start walking in some direction. You'd have to untangle the feet and then pick a direction and then start moving, right? So that might be part of the difficulty. If you stand also just with your feet side by side, well, you're still like kind of a pushover, right? Has anyone ever done any kind of boxing or dance or fencing, right? Like if you just stand like this, people can kind of, so you want to just put your back foot is going to either be at 1 o'clock or at 11 o'clock, okay? This is not first position, okay? Where it's much more subtle. It's just like, guys, you have hips. You're just it's just a little swivel. Okay, and then you put your weight on your back leg. And now the other thing is if you have to stand for a really long time listening to someone talk like I am right now, then you could just shift weight by just putting 1 foot back and then 1 foot forward and then 1 foot back, right? And that way you actually can stand for a much longer time. But with this stance, even if you have 2 people standing together, so can I borrow you for a second? All right, so if you're going to just face me with your feet straight forward, left. So if I came and stood like this too, this is a more closed off thing, but then suddenly it's open again, right? And now, because Tori just did that, someone could then join us. Ben's like, should I join you?
Come on. You look fun.
And then the thing is, when you join, you try not to, and thank you, you try not to then necessarily close the space. So you want to be thoughtful. Sometimes you want to close the space, right? Sometimes like when you're having like a quick conversation with, the lead organizer or the author, and you just want to have a moment with them, and you really don't want people to interrupt, well, then you're going to lean in, right? You're going to be much more private about it. But I feel like we might do that too often and not always mean it. Like we might be trying to meet people and then give this closed kind of appearance. So croissant is a visual to help you sort of think about that open space you're trying to create. Now, it'll help you because it's much easier when you're standing like this to start walking in any direction, right? So whether you want to go to the left or you want to go forward, you're already halfway through that walk, right? So if you're in the middle of a room and you're trying to figure out how to navigate a space, you will have a lot more flexibility because you didn't have your feet tangled up, right? You'll also be able to sort of turn and move through crowded spaces, but also when you walk in a room, I often like just scan to see how people are standing. You know, sort of there's lots of little pockets of people, and some people will just sort of naturally have this more open stance. And I just want to say, like you said, you would never do this. I waited tables for, I don't know, like years and years and years. And I had this habit of standing with like the heel of one foot on the other foot with my foot turned out and taking people's orders. So this was a very familiar pose for me for like a long time. And this has now become my default stance. It's just like something that I've just grown into, partly because it's very comfortable, because you kind of can sit into this back leg a little bit. So when we get up to mingle, I'm going to have people reminding people to kind of keep their stance open.